Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch You Want, and thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Rolex Cellini date. You can see this 39mm 18-karat white gold Rolex Cellini on our website, watchyouwant.com. Purchase it there, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. You can see on my wrist 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference. This Baselworld 2014 novelty has a character that is entirely separate from the rest of the Rolex line. Not an oyster and, significantly, not a sports watch, this flies in the face of conventions that most Rolex collectors have known essentially since they entered the hobby, but the Cellini line has a character, a charisma, and an ambiance all of its own to allure watch collectors. And the bottom line is the watch wears easy. Now 46.5 millimeters from lug to lug. It's very compact. It does have a little bit of a neo bubbleback profile to it, being 13 millimeters thick, so it's not an ultra thin, but it makes the most of those case flanks. And with a domed and beautifully sloped bezel, one can see from the side how easily this will slide under a dress cuff. It is built to suit with a suit. And the bottom line is the heft of the watch is outstanding. Now 39 millimeters across the round of the case. It features a Rolex polished caseback, so you can see the characteristic Rolex knurling along the outside to interface with a Rolex caseback tool. The typical grained finish of the Rolex caseback here gives way to a beautifully polished domed treatment. It's exceptional and exceptionally attractive. Now, the bottom line is that the bezel has a sort of double finish to it, featuring a coining that actually echoes the knurling of the caseback, giving way to a rounded polished segment that you can see to good effect from this angle. Now, that double finish gives the bezel extra character and strength. Although this is an elegant watch, it does not dispense with significant use of character lines or small case refinements, and to that end, I want to call attention to the slight bevel of the lugs. Whereas Rolex oyster case sports watches no longer feature the hand beveling along the flanks of their lugs, those are alive and well in the Cellini line. They're subtle, but in person they are easy to discern, and this watch has a great deal of nuance in spite of its ostensible simplicity. Moving inboard to the dial, it's outstanding. Now you can see from this angle just how dramatically it's treated with what's known as a rayon guilloché. Not quite a sunburst, it's much deeper, it's more severe, and it makes itself known with greater force. It does feature significant depth with the countersunk date subdial at 3 o'clock and a sunken minutes track actually cut into the applied white gold hour indices. This watch has a lot going on its dial, and it uses some elements we're simply not used to seeing on a Rolex. For one, the total absence of lume. For another, the use of beautiful double-faceted alpha hands. These are seldom seen on Rolex models. Likewise, the flared crown, a style rarely seen on Rolex watches and reminiscent of crowns used in the mid-20th century on the long-gone bubblebacks. Now, the watch features a unique traveler hour hand. Much like contemporary Panerai and some watches like the Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso 976, the ability to move the hour hand independent of the minute and seconds allows one to adjust one's time zone while traveling without stopping the balance significantly and thus disrupting timing precision. Moreover, the watch features a radial date indication at 3 o'clock. This sets the watch, as well as the entire Cellini line, in stark contrast to the oyster watches with their aperture dates and often the Cyclops-style bubble magnifier. This is a way of creating a visual break that allows this watch to be its own model and the Cellini to be its own line. Now, the watch features an outstanding level of finish on case, bezel, and dial. But nothing is overlooked, with the strap itself being ideally suited to the dress watch aspirations of the Cellini line. Featuring a semi-conforming spring bar, the watch does have an integrated look to it, closing the gap between the end of the strap and the flank of the case. The watch reads all of a piece, but because it's not a complete conforming end piece, there's a great deal of flexibility built in such that you can easily curve the strap around a smaller wrist. Moreover, yet another unexpected twist, a beautifully executed pin buckle, sensuous with compound curves, beautiful finish, and the inset 5-point Rolex coronet. It's white gold to match the case, and it's beautifully executed. It's worth concluding with notes on the metal and the movement. Now, this is Rolex's own white gold. Rolex, owning its own foundry, creates its own gold alloys. This one is homogeneous, meaning it's not a rhodium plate such as you'll find on manufacturers even as august as Patek Philippe. This is solid white gold, sometimes known as gray gold, meaning if it's scratched or scuffed, you'll simply see more white gold underneath. It doesn't have that milky yellow base layer. Moreover, the watch features a Rolex caliber 3165 automatic winding. This is one of the smoothest winding references you will ever encounter. It's impossible to discern, either through feel or sound, the movement of the rotor. A 48-hour power reserve, 31 pivot jewels. The watch features COSC chronometer certification. When you do pull the crown to its extremity, I should mention that the watch still does hack in classical Rolex style, and the screw-down crown endows this free-sprung full balance bridge, parachrome blue hairspring, Breguet overcoil hairspring, I should mention, Rolex movement with 5 ATM water resistance. So it's on the high side of dress watch water resistance, but nevertheless, it's still not an oyster. This is for splash or rain only. You can see this Rolex Cellini date, reference 50519, on our website, watchyouwant.com.